What's up, Wayne Barron here with DarkEffects.net, and we are inside of Adobe After Effects, and we are still working with Trapcode Particular. What we're going to be doing here is this. So you can see we got a sparkler basically going through. We got some flare glow coming off from it, and with some really cool smoke effect, which is green and blue. So that's basically what we're going to be doing today. So hopefully we can make it look just like this. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, let's go ahead and create a new composition. We're going to name this Flare and click OK. And then we're going to add in a new layer or solid, and this right here is going to be set to the same. And let's click OK. And I just totally went too fast here. We want this to be 1280 by 720, 24 frames per second, and at 6 seconds long, black background. Click OK, and our solid basically the same. So now the first, next thing we want to do, go over here to Layer, New, Null Object. Want to make this one smaller. Come over here and drop it down. We want to name this Flare. So let's go ahead and let's name this Flare Trail. And then our white solid is going to be named Emitter. Let's go over here and make this E capital. Okay, for our flare trail, let's want to make it a 3D layer. Click on position. Let's drag this up to here, and so that's where we're going to start off at. Let's bring it down to, let's go to 3 seconds long, and then drag it all the way over to here, and let's also make it smaller. Grab a hold of this, drag it up, and drag that down. You got to grab a hold of the position in order for these two guys to show up. So anyway, that right there is going to be our trail, and so whenever it runs through like that. So basically it comes in from the top right and almost comes out of the lower left bottom. Okay, so now let's drag that up, and next thing we want to do is click on Emitter and come over here to Effect, Trapcode Particular. Okay, the first thing we want to do is click on Emitter and then change this to 300. Our point we want to change to layer, and then come down to layer emitter, and we want to change this one to flare trail, and then that right there would take care of the emitter. So then let's come down to the particle, and we want to change our particle to 0.1. Let's come down to our physics, and then drop down air. Okay, so now for our wind X, Y, and Z, we want to change this to 250, tab down, minus 150, tab down, minus 200. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring that up so we can actually see our little bit of flare right here, or our dots as that is. Here, let's go down to turbulence field, drag it down. We want to change this to 10. And then change this one to 2. Let's come down to our auxiliary system, change this to continuance, come up here and change size to 0, come back down 50, and then 1. Okay, and that'll give us a longer trail there for our life. Okay, now let's change our size to 1. And then our opacity, we want to change this to 100. And then let's go down to our physics air mode only. And we want to change this to 100. And then 200. Our randomness, bring it down. We want to change this to 100. And then our size for 100. And our opacity is 70. Going to come down to our rendering, and then motion blur, and then for our motion blur we want to turn it on, and then we want to change our shutter angle to 60. And so basically this is what it looks like. So let's go ahead and render through that right quick. Okay, that is the first layer. So that one right there is taken care of. So now the next thing we want to do is that we want to create a duplicate of this layer. So let's create, or hit Control D, Command D on a Mac to duplicate it. and we're going to name this one blue. And oops, one thing that we forgot, let's jump back, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We need to come down here to our auxiliary system and choose color over life. And now we need to do the following settings. Let's go ahead and make this, we're going to name it or do it for 2, and then 1.5, and then drop this down to 1. Click OK, come over here and double click on this one, and then we're going to do the following changes: 1.23 and 0. Click OK. And one thing that I failed to state is that right here we needed to have this at 32 BPC. It's originally set at 8, so you need to hit your Alt and then you need to toggle through and choose 32 bits per channel. Okay, so that right there needs to be done. I am sorry that I totally neglected to tell you that, but that needs to be done in order for us to work with these higher colors. If it's set at 8, then you will not get these higher colors right here. And so make sure that you're set at 32 bits per channel in order to do this part. So then this is what our first streak is going to look like going through. Now let's come back over here to our blue, and everything is going to stay the same. We're going to come down to our color over life, click it, and then we want to change it to blue, and so that now it's set like so. Okay, let's come back up a little bit more to our physics time factor. We're going to change this to 0.8, and watch as we hit enter, it's going to offset it just a little bit so that now we can see our original, which is our emitter, and then we can see our blue trail coming in. So now it looks like so. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do is we want to duplicate this once more, and we want to name this one green. And then we're also going to come down and we're going to hit this green color swatch here, and this is going to set these two colors for us. Then we're going to come back up and we're going to change this to 0.5, and now we've got it offset just enough to where you can see the colors sort of intertwining with each other, almost like they're rotating around each other and creating some sort of a circular sphere while going through our sky, our scene, or whatever we're going to use this effect for. And so okay, that is that part. So now the next thing that we want to do is that we want to introduce some smoke into our project. So let's go ahead and create a new composition. There you go. Control Command N on a Mac. Bring this up. We're going to name this Smoke Trail. Change this to 200, and leave everything else the same. Click OK. Come over here to Layer, New, Solid, and then we're going to name this one Smoke. Then we're also going to add in a new solid, and we're just going to name this White. Click OK. I'm going to drag the white below the smoke, come down here, toggle, and track matte to Luma Matte Smoke. Okay, now with our smoke selected, our composition should be black, and it is black. So now let's go ahead and bring this up to 100%, grab a hold of our pen tool, and then let's go ahead and there we go. So now with our pen tool, let's go ahead and manipulate this. Okay, so that's basically how we want that done. Okay, with our smoke layer selected, let's come over here to Effects, Stylize, and then Roughen Edges. Okay, we want to change our roughen edges to the following settings. I want to change this to 100. Tab down to our scale and change this to 550. Hold down Alt key and click on offset. Come down here, open bracket, 0, comma, times minus 150, close bracket. So now this is basically what it's going to look like. So now let's go ahead and come to effect, noise and grain. Oops, make sure that it's selected, effect, noise and grain, and turbulent noise. We want to change our contrast to 250, and then let's come down and once again let's do effect, blur and sharpen, fast blur, and let's go ahead and up that just a little bit to the way that we want it to look, about like so, and that should take care of our smoke. So now let's come back into our flare, drag over project, grab a hold of our smoke trail and drag it down to the very bottom. We also want to hide it. It does not need to be seen. Come over here to our green. Let's duplicate it and name this one smoke. Okay, now come back over here to our effects control. Let's go ahead and drop this all the way down to particles, and let's come over here to our particle type. We're going to change this to sprite colorize, and then we're going to come down to texture, and we're going to choose our smoke. Smoke trail. Okay, now for our current time, we're going to drop it down to random loop. Okay, now let's come up here to the top. We're going to do this at 20,000, so that's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Click OK, and let it run through again. And that's definitely not what we want, right? So let's come down here to our auxiliary. Okay, and for our color over life, we're going to choose the very top one, color swatch here. Click on it, and that's going to give us a more random color. And there we go. We got some reds, some yellows, and some greens and blues and so forth. So that right there is basically how we want that done. Let's come over here to our opacity. We want to change it to 5. Our size, we're going to change it to 6. And then we're going to come up here to our particles, change it to 40. And our emit probability, we're going to change it to 10. And we're going to change life 1.2. So that will take care of that part. And as you see, we've got a better trail there than what we had to begin with. And so it just looks a little bit better, smaller, more confined, and just matches the whole overall appearance of the rest of the particles with our smoke. Let's come down here and with our wind, let's go ahead and change that down to 75. Okay, and that's going to sort of move it around just a little bit more than what it was before. Let's come down here to our rendering, and we're going to change our linear to subframe, and then our levels to 24. Okay, and now let's come down here and toggle or switch here. Let's change each one of these 4 to screen. Let's add in some color just a little bit. So let's go over here to effect, new adjustment layer. Let's come over here to effect, stylize, and glow. Okay, let's do the following. Let's change our glow threshold to 25. Come down to our radius, change that to 40. Our glow intensity 0.2. And then come over here to our glow colors from original, change it to A and B. Click here, and let's do the following RGB colors: 1.9216, and then 0.6235. Click OK, and then click on this one, and let's change this one to 1, then 0.502 and 0. Click OK, and now let's duplicate this layer, and let's go ahead and change this back to the original. Click here, we're going to change it to 30. And then our next one, we're going to change this to 350. And then change this one to 0.1. Okay, now that gives it just a little bit better of a color field than what we had before, which also makes our smoke trail a little bit more defined, and everything is just better. You can see everything better. So let's do one more adjustment layer. New adjustment layer, and we're going to come to Effect, Trapcode, Shine, and now we're going to change the following. We're going to change our ray to 0.4, and then our colorize, we're going to come down, we're going to change it to 1.9961 and then 0.549 and click OK. And so let's come down here to our transfer mode. We're going to change it to screen, and then we're going to change the shine opacity to about 35. See what it looks like after it renders out. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just got a way better feel to it. Everything looks really good. Let's grab a hold of these two adjustment layers right here. Actually, let's rename this one to Glow and rename this one to Shine. Let's grab a hold of both of these. Let's drag them up underneath our flare trail. Okay, we need to change two more settings right quick. We need to come over here to our transfer mode, which is in our auxiliary system. Transfer mode. And we're going to go from normal to screen. So anyway, this is the end of this lesson. So Wayne Barron here with darkeffects.net. Y'all have a rockin', hopefully dry weekend or week. It's rainy here, going to be rainy all week except on Wednesday. So yeah, I'll be stuck inside. So anyway, y'all have a rockin' time. Bye bye.